Now let's move on to the main content building block, point of interest, or simply POI. A POI screen in SmartGuide starts with a cover photo. It should be attractive, well represent the POI and help the visitor easily identify the POI, should be horizontal and work well also when viewed as a small thumbnail in various lists and on map. The minimum resolution is 1280 x 720 pixels, but you can upload higher resolution photos that will be useful for the web view, and SmartGuide automatically reduces the photo's resolution for mobile viewers. Each photo in the guide should be unique and it cannot contain any texts, watermarks, or logos. Color photos look better, but it is okay to add black and white historical photos if appropriate. Needless to say that you need to have a license to use it and include a proper attribution to author. Photos are most often displayed in a landscape format with 4:3 ratio. Vertical photos and panoramic photos will be cropped to fit this view, so it is important to keep it in mind, especially for the cover photo. If you need to include vertical photo and it would look bad cropped in the middle, manually crop the photo for horizontal cover photo, and you can always include the original vertical photo in the second position. Any POI can have up to 10 photos that are shown upon click and further down on the screen. These can include photos of details, historical photographs, visualizations, photos in different seasons, interiors, special occasions, or representations of stories covered in the text. The big caption under the photo is the POI name. It is important to keep the standard name as it is also used in search. It should be the name used in the language of the guide, and it is possible to add local names and translations. POI narrative is the story about the POI. About 2 to 4 paragraphs, focusing on interesting facts and unexpected stories to engage visitors. The first sentence should captivate visitors' attention enough to make them want to explore the POI detail more. It is typically the most interesting fact about the POI that is then developed in the first paragraph. Even though the narrative on a self-guided experience should be almost identical to live guided tour, there is one important difference to keep in mind when you write the POI narrative. The visitor does not see the guide gesticulating, walking somewhere, and pointing at something. So let's be explicit about directions in the script. For example, instead of saying "there is the tavern where Shakespeare used to go for beer," say "look at a small brown cottage nested between the tall yellow building and the river. That is a tavern where Shakespeare used to go for beer." Keep in mind that most visitors have a shorter attention span on a self-guided tour, so keep the narrative short and sweet for the mass audience. You can always add more details in the optional Learn More section, which is separated with a short pause in the audio and prompts the visitor whether they want to keep listening. Texts are useful for planning when you quickly want to skim through content, but many visitors prefer to listen to these stories in audio once they are at the point of interest. Audio allows visitors to keep their phone in their pocket and fully immerse themselves in the environment instead of studying the screen or a paper guide. It is more relaxing, like walking with a live guide. The Sternberg Castle, for example, replaced paper guides that visitors did not read much with SmartGuide, and they were impressed to find that all of a sudden, visitors consumed 80% of the content. It was the same content that was available on paper that only few read. We have several options to include audio. The most immersive, but also most expensive option is to have a professional voice actor passionately record the audio in a studio, and it is then post-processed with background sounds to set the scene. You can do this yourself, reuse existing audios from some past project, or SmartGuide can do this turnkey for you. You can also record audio in your native language yourself. We have founders of museums and tourist information center staff who recorded guides with their own voice. It is not as professional, but more authentic and affordable. For example, a nuclear physicist built a museum of nuclear weapons in a former nuclear depot. He is the most passionate and authentic guide, so we helped him to get the best out of his guide. We recorded his entire live tour to make it natural, then transcribed it to text and let him re-record with his own voice with proper audio equipment, resulting in authentic, natural, quality self-guided experience. If budget is a constraint or if you expect frequent changes, you can use text-to-speech. If you don't provide audio, SmartGuide will automatically record audio with the latest AI-powered voice. The audio starts with the POI name, then the POI narrative, and after a pause asking whether the user wants to learn more, it continues at a more relaxed pace with the Learn More section. It is important to keep this in mind when you write the content and avoid repeating the POI name at the beginning of the narrative. Avoid acronyms and complex punctuation that the text-to-speech could misunderstand, and keep sentences rather short. It is pretty good and we do it for you for free, but it can make mistakes in local names or acronyms, so we only allow this option for guides that are free of charge for the visitor. The most popular option is actually a human-improved TTS audio. We first auto-generate the TTS audio, then have a native speaker listen to it and see where the computer makes mistakes. They will optimize the text and teach AI how to pronounce local names phonetically using phonemes. The result is a flawless AI audio for a fraction of the cost of a human voice actor. If you make any subsequent changes to the content, it is easy to re-record and the system remembers what we taught it previously, so there is no rework like with human audio changes. In fact, I am an AI-generated audio talking to you, so you can judge if I do a good job. There is an area on the map called Trigger Zone, associated with every POI. The narrative of the POI will launch when the visitor enters the trigger zone based on the GPS of their phone. GPS is very accurate on good phones with an unobstructed view of the sky, but the accuracy can go down on cheaper phones or when the sky is blocked by buildings or rocks. If the POI is a small statue in a park, you probably want to trigger the story in a radius of about 20 meters around the statue, which is the default setting if you don't change anything. But for example, a 20 m circle around the center of the Eiffel Tower, which has a base of 125 m, would only trigger when the user arrives at the top. It is visible from far away, so you can probably go with a 200 m radius or even more to include it in a guide. If you want to be even more precise and launch the story only when a tourist arrives from the Seine River, you can move the center of the trigger zone or make a trigger zone in the shape of a polygon. Given the accuracy limitations of GPS, do not use trigger zones if the POIs are less than 20 meters apart. But don't worry, SmartGuide has you covered. For such instances, we switch to technologies that support indoor navigation, including QR codes, NFC chips, or Bluetooth beacons. Our team will help you choose the best solution for your specific situation. Some POIs can also have video instead of photos and audio, call to action, CTA, button, information about a tourist card, or include AR experience. Let's take a closer look at these extra features. Each point of interest can have up to 10 photos and in one audio. Instead of photos and audio, you can also include a short video. The video will start playing when tapped and can be maximized to view in full screen. Note that the audio from uploaded video will replace current audio. The Call to Action (CTA) button in the SmartGuide app allows you to set a custom text that links either to an external web page or another screen within the app. This versatile feature can be used to direct visitors to specific actions, such as purchasing tickets, booking a table directly from your own website, helping to bypass third-party commissions. Additionally, the CTA button supports language localization, ensuring that the custom text adapts to different languages for a seamless, user-friendly experience for a global audience. SmartGuide easily integrates with existing city or tourist card solutions and offers users the ability to easily identify and filter locations to take advantage of its benefits. In the app, locations included in a city or tourist card are highlighted separately, allowing for quick access and navigation. Visitors can effortlessly filter these places in lists or on maps. This improved convenience increases the overall value of the tourist card by simplifying the process of finding relevant POIs, making travel more enjoyable and cost-effective. SmartGuide enhances travel experiences by offering immersive AR features that bring POIs to life. On AR-enabled phones, Visitors can explore destinations with interactive digital objects, such as photos, 3D models, or animations, seamlessly integrated into their surroundings. These objects can be geolocated based on GPS, placed on a designated marker, or positioned directly in front of the user, providing a rich, engaging way to interact with historical landmarks, cultural sites, or local attractions through augmented reality. This feature adds a new dimension to travel, making it more dynamic and memorable. Below on the POI screen, you can provide additional information including opening hours, admissions, address, phone number, and website. Where possible, we recommend to pro-link sections opening hours and admission with official websites of the POI since they provide their actual information and you don't have to change it in the CMS every time it changes. SmartGuide also supports practical POIs, such as airports, train stations, ATMs, public toilets, drinking fountains, parking lots, etc. Unlike traditional POIs, practical POIs do not need to have photos, instead they are displayed just as a small icon on the map. So far we talked mostly about POIs that fall in the see and do category. SmartGuide also supports eat, shop, party, sleep POI categories that have a different icon on the map, can be filtered on the map and in lists. Unlike see and do POIs, they don't automatically open based on GPS when a visitor walks by.